Hi, this is Robert Clickybeard and David Anderson with the Commercial Landscaper podcast. We're going to take 20 minutes of your life to deliver some amazing business content from accomplished leaders to bring you value, to scale your business, and to better yourself personally. And really hopefully you enjoyed. Cheers, everyone. Hi, this is Robert Clickybeard with the Commercial Landscaper podcast. I am super excited to be joined today by Bob Grover. I've known Bob now for 15 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Hung out in peer groups, different events. Good friend. Had so much respect for Bob, and I'm actually jealous that Bob is looking in better shape than I am these days.
Oh,
so
you're the Iron Man.
I've got a bit of pressure on here. So, Bob, thank you for joining me on the show today. I'm really excited to hear your story. Tell me a little bit of background to you. I mean, I know you, but I'd love my audience to know about you and especially how you got into the industry.
Well, I think that's kind of an interesting story because people have asked me that over the years. And I was an outdoor kid. I had a big yard that I grew up on. I actually had had an acre that my family owned. We had a pasture in the back. We had a pony, but it was great. We played baseball in the pasture. We built forts. My family had a big garden. I got involved in gardening. I don't know how many high school kids are back in the 60s, 70s were gardening. But I think I give a lot of credit for the easiest place for me to get a job in high school. When I moved up out of being a paper boy, delivering papers, there was a retail nursery about a block and a half from my house. And that was closer. I could walk there as opposed to driving or getting a ride to McDonald's or Safeway. So I went to work there and fell in love with plants, and it was a great outdoor job. Thought I'd be a nurseryman. So I went off to school at Oregon State studying horticulture and found out that, there's a lot of different ways you can go within horticulture, and got a job with a retail nursery in that next summer in the landscape. And, the career has, gone from there. And I love this industry because I have a love for plants. I have a love for outdoors, and, I have a love for people and interacting with people. And one of the things that we've learned within this industry is we fell in love with the industry because we get to work with plants, but I stay in love with the industry because I help people solve problems through landscaping. And we spend way more time talking and working on personal relationships with employees and customers than we do necessarily solving problems. And that's just a really cool piece I love about this profession.
No, that's awesome. And two key things you've missed, Bob, and that is, again, when you talk about people, when you look behind you and your screensaver, your background there. I mean, you've built a tremendously successful company out of Oregon. And then again, when you talk about your humble beginnings working for a local nursery, and now you're the outgoing president of NALP, which has how many members now, Bob?
2,500, I believe.
Wow. I mean, so to see your progression over the years from, as you say, starting from high school, going to a nearby nursery, I think that's a great achievement, Bob. So well done.
Thank you. And it's interesting, and where we're at as a business today. I never had the goal to be a business the size that we are today. We have 8 branches, close to 500 employees, in Portland and Seattle. Never thought or even aspired to be there. It kind of just happened. As we started our company, I'd worked for a larger company, so I knew what being larger was, and having all the resources of being a medium to a larger size company. It's nice to have all those resources, but we just wanted to create a business that served us, my business partner and I, as we started it. But we started attracting great people to our organization, and they have careers that need to be managed and developed. And virtually all of our growth has been around helping support and create opportunity for people. A growth company is exciting to be a part of, and it creates opportunity for everybody here. So my growth has been supporting the opportunities for 500 people, not my business partner and myself.
That's awesome. Yeah, and actually on that point is that I'd love to just explore really quickly before we dive into your main topic around, obviously if you didn't go into starting up Pacific to grow at the size you have, it's obviously around that mindset of around people. So, there's a lot of people that get into the industry, join the association, they're 2 people, they're 5 people, and they think, oh, I can never get to that size. So what's the sort of a big message to those people in those early type stages in trying to, become a Bob Grover?
Well, surrounding yourself with great people that are culturally aligned with your thoughts and ideas of how you want to operate. We have always worked to recruit or people that we know or people that we worked with in the past, and then created opportunity to help people develop. So it is a business that is way more about people than it is about plants. And trying to create opportunity, create training, try to create development, try to create a philosophy of people first is really, really critical. In my years of talking with other people, one of the phrases that I don't like, I understand what it means, but I don't like the utilization of a human resource. People are not a resource. When you treat them like a resource, it's like a bag of fertilizer. That's a resource. And so, yes, I have a human resources manager, but we treat people as people, and we try to honor and respect them, whether you are a laborer or you are a manager or a leader in our organization. Everybody is responsible for treating everybody else and our customers. Customers aren't revenue, customers are people. And that's the number one value within our organization is people first. And that sells well with our potential workforce and growing workforce. And most of the people that work for us started in a lower position and have grown and developed within our organization, and creating opportunity is the key methodology for us to create excitement in the organization. People want to work where they have new opportunity. You want to win. Everybody wants to win. And you win by achieving, you win by working through people.
No, I love that message. And that was actually really evident when I came up and saw your facility many years ago, that just you could feel the difference when you go into facilities, headquarters, where it's a poor culture compared to something that's just alive. You can see that competition. You can see people really care about the other people in the organization. So that was truly evident when I came up a number of years ago. So nice job, Bob.
Something else that I thought about as you're talking about that, I think sometimes people sell themselves or their organization or even their customers short on, I have to be low bid to get work, or I have to figure out how I can't afford to pay people to keep good people. You make all these excuses for why you can't or why you shouldn't. And we've always had the focus on, if you act worthy of charging a premium price, you're more likely to get a premium price. If you act as though you can only win by being the low cost operator, you're rarely going to be able to be a premium service that commands a premium price. And I think our industry, I think the contracting industry in general, especially the farther down the pyramid you get, sells themselves short. And we, from the beginning, and part of that I did learn from the previous organization that I worked with for 15 years, is build your organization to be worthy of charging the right price. And maybe a premium is not the right word, but it's the right price. And avoid being the low cost operator, because I don't believe that you'll generate the profit that you'll be able to support an organization or pay your people what they're worth, or buy the fleet that you need to do great work, or project that positive professional image when you are undercharging and trying to grow by being the low cost operator. And that would be the biggest recommendation I'd have for people, is push the envelope on doing the right work so you can charge the right price, because it works on itself.
No, it's such a great message, and very timely as well, because typically a lot of property managers are being presented with budgets for 2023, and there's a lot of discussions, within companies saying, well, all of our prices have gone up between labor, between materials, and it's just how do we handle those types of increases? So very, very timely message, Bob.
We've been working all year. This is and I've been in the industry 40 years. This is the largest inflation increase that we have ever passed on. And that was scary going into this year. We budget for our customers in August and September, and really the inflation really started showing up in September and October. So we didn't give people a big enough increase last year, and we're trying to make up for that a little bit this year. But we've been talking about it since February, March, of showing people, bringing them up to speed on this is what's happening and this is the reality. And we're feeding people information so they're not surprised. And we're giving them budget information prior to even asking, to let them know what needs to happen. And, forewarned is forearmed with a customer. If you don't tell them that you're going to give them an increase before they have a ability to budget for it, they don't have the money in their budget. But if you justify it and give it to them and walk them through it, they'll understand. And if you're doing a good job behind the scenes, they're going to pay for it. It is what it is.
No, it's so true. And I usually recommend that, companies should start talking, just planting that seed in, early in the year, April, May, June, just in preparation for the budgets. And it's interesting, I've gone into a lot of companies and who, for some reason, have not presented any type of increases in the last few years. And now they're suddenly trying to, present 20, 30% type increases, and the customers are just like freaking out.
You can't do it every 3 years. You got to do it every year. The smaller the increase is, the easier it is to pass off. And I've talked with a couple of people. They were afraid during COVID to increase prices. Well, the last couple of years were some of the largest price increases historically we've had for a while, even prior to this year. And no, COVID is COVID. Labor costs are going up. We have to keep up on that. So yeah, if you put it off, you can't get 20% this year.
Yep.
Because you didn't do the increases the last couple of years.
Yep, for sure. So I'm going to switch gears here, Bob. Obviously you've been part of or heading up NALP for the last year. You've obviously seen a lot of industries that are now affecting the industry. And, one of the things we talked offline about was just how do you handle, those growing environmental threats to the industry of, pesticides, gas-powered equipment, water restrictions. I go back to Arizona all the time. I look at the news coming from California, and there's constant things in the news. You talk about, Nevada, they keep finding all these bodies in Nevada. So talk to me about how you've been helping to steer the organization and companies being part of that organization through these types of challenges.
I think in that I'm really glad that you'd like to talk about that, because I think that's something that another piece of our industry that we need to change is we are environmental stewards, and we need to be environmental stewards. We take care of the green spaces in and around homes and businesses and the urban environment, which is very, very ecologically beneficial to those urban areas and the environment in general. But we also have a responsibility to improve our operations to minimize what we manage. It has a great environmental value, but how we manage it has some challenges. We use water, we use petrochemicals, we emit carbon, we use pesticides, we use fertilizers that can leach into the water. We can do a little bit better every year to start to mitigate those impacts while we're still maximizing the value of what we do. And I think the problem that we've had is when somebody says, we're going to eliminate gas-powered equipment in California, that came up. We should have been talking about that subject years prior. We should have been promoting what we're doing and the benefit, or the equipment's getting better. So we don't get credit for the fact that the equipment we're using today has lower emissions than it did 10 years ago. So we need to be thinking of what's coming down the pike and start offering solutions, because if we get presented a solution by somebody outside of the industry that doesn't understand the industry, their solution is probably going to be impractical for us to operate. So a big piece of what we're doing at NALP now is trying to be a part of the solution as opposed to just say no. Oh, we can't deal with reducing the carbon emission of equipment because we need these tools. We need to come up with how can we help encourage our industry? How can we help work with our manufacturers? How can we help get value out of the things that we've done over time that has reduced those negative impacts. And that's a big piece of what we're working on today is let's be a part of the solution. Let's get out in front of it and help craft the solution, because we'll be way happier with, yes, the solution might be using less water, less chemical, less fertilizer, less petrochemical, but that's better than no.
No, I agree. And how are you doing that from a organization or association level? Is there sort of campaigns going on, or some messaging going out to your contractors just to sort of try and get that message to really make an impact?
Well, so we have the new website on NALP. The benefits of green spaces is trying to preach the value of landscape, and we're trying to enlist our industry to get involved in that and be able to share that information. There's lots of good stories on things that we're doing out there. Lots of great stories on the values of plants. Lots of great stories on how we're reducing the use of chemicals, fertilizers, water, and fuel. And we need to start encouraging ourselves to share the good news and challenge ourselves on what can we do differently and what we can do better. And I think that's going to be a big focus going into the future with NALP, is to be able to be a part of the solution as opposed to just saying, leave us alone.
No, I love that. I love your sort of spearheading that and really getting that message down. And how are you handling it also? When you start talking about stories, I mean, a lot of those stories that are impactful often come from either the contractors, but usually a contractor's relationship with the client, where there's some type of a partnership that's been created, or some type of win that's come through that partnership. What have you done on a local basis in your sphere up in Oregon, where some of those positive moves you've made have really come back and build that relationship, and maybe you've got more business from it?
Well, and probably being in Oregon, we were on the forefront of the environmental movement, because that's what the West Coast has always been. So it was an issue for us about 15 years ago. And we, prior to that, never got a customer that said, hey, tell me about your sustainable initiatives. Tell me about what you're doing to reduce your impact through all these things. And we started having people getting that question. And that was something that their investors or their tenants were start to ask them for. And we said, we need to start to have answers to those questions, because people are asking us for that. So we did a variety of things. And what are we doing? What can we do? How can we challenge ourselves to, we started trying to figure out where can we use organic components in our fertilizer as opposed to just all synthetic. Now, we're not an organic company, but our fertilizer mixes have some organic components in it. How can we reduce the amount of water we're using? And that's actually been a really great one, because water conservation is usually selling people a service to help them reduce their water bill. We don't get money for their water bill, but we get money for giving them weather-based irrigation, or modifying the landscape to have it need less water, or updating the irrigation system. So we are trying to do our best. We converted to most of our equipment to propane. Well, propane's not as good as electric, and we'd like to be on the forefront of being electric when it is cost effective. It isn't currently. We still utilize herbicides and pesticides, but we've done an evaluation and we've taken some things off of our usage that are more toxic than the others. I'm trying to figure out how we're not going to be all organic, but we're going to use the least toxic and least things in there. And then we tell people, our customers, here's what we used to do, here's what we're doing now, here's where we're headed. And it's amazing how much credit you get when you tell people what you're doing. When somebody comes to you and says, hey, what are you doing? It's a reactionary answer. When you say proactively, hey, here's what we're seeing and here's what we're doing, before they ask, you get way more credit for being proactive. And whether it's a sustainability issue or it's just a problem site-related issue, proactive communication leads with people appreciating that you are on the game, doing what you need to do and solving their problems for them. So being really proactive and challenging yourself and your team and our industry to do better a little bit every year.
No, that's awesome. Awesome. How are you communicating that with your clients? You doing it through newsletters, videos, social media, AM
We have a weekly
conversations?
newsletter and a fair amount of that. So we have 52 newsletters a year. So they're getting touched with a single subject weekly. It's going to be seasonal related. And a lot of those will have directly a sustainable initiative we're working on, or indirectly. We do social media posts on a daily basis on that. So, people are getting 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year. They're getting that. So we're constantly getting information out there. Our website has all of our sustainable initiatives in there as well. So it's easy to find and see if we're connected with you, you're getting our newsletter. If you follow us on social media or connected to us, you're seeing that. If you ever go on our website, you're seeing those kind of things. And then we talk about it as an organization. And when we're out there meeting with our customers, we're having that in our discussion points of, here's what we think you do. When we budget our customers every year, there'll be some sustainable initiatives in the quiver of things that we're suggesting. And sometimes it'll take 2 or 3 years before people come around that there's the value of that. But hey, we've been telling you for 4 years you need weather-based irrigation. Not like it just came up yesterday. We've been telling you this for a while. Some of the people jumped on right away. Some of the people, it took them 4 or 5 years to come around. But when they came around, they remembered that we've been promoting that for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, I know Elevate's just around the corner, and is there going to be any type of message around the sustainability and environmental issues when people come and visit that? Because that's obviously the first year of holding the separate event. So I just said I'm going to be down there in a few weeks.
Yes, that is a growing subject matter that we will be presenting. So we have multiple tracks, and there will definitely be tracks and seminars about the sustainable movement and issues and things that we're working on. Yes.
Cool. That's awesome. Yo, again, big part of my organization, the Radix, Bruce Wilson Company. We're definitely behind the sustainability and how we can support environmental issues. So definitely a big supporter of that. Now, how can I, or even I've got probably 5,000 or 6,000 listeners on this show, how can we help in spreading that message or support these initiatives?
Well, get involved in NALP, come to our events like Elevate, sign up for the Healthy Green Spaces and share that message, and just be personally committed that it's coming. And it's interesting, when we started our sustainable focus about 15 years ago, and I presented at the national conference several times over the years, I'd get people coming up to me. It's like, hey, I'm in Tennessee. Nobody cares about this stuff. Well, the last couple of years, it's everywhere. And I've been telling people it's coming, and you would rather be leading with issues or prepared as opposed to be on your heels when you're getting attacked with it. So I think acknowledging that it is our responsibility and it's something that we need to address and deal with. And there are lots of resources out there, a lot through NALP. We formed a new sustainability committee over the course of the last year. Elevate's got a lot of subjects on there. We've got the Healthy Green Spaces website that you can get plugged into. But start learning, start sharing, and start taking on the responsibility of, we collectively all have to work on improving our industry. And it's not going to happen overnight, but we got to do a little bit every year, and everybody's got to be committed to it.
100%. So Bob, just to finish off here, if people want to learn more about either these initiatives or learn more about you and the company you built, and just that extra piece of advice from you, I know you're a busy person, but what's the best way for them to find out more or get in touch with you?
Well, you can find me on our website. I think there's a lot of information. I'd be more than happy if people in the industry click on our newsletter. There's a lot of great information. And again, sign up for Healthy Green Spaces. There's information coming out on that a lot of times. Come to NALP events, get involved in your state association. I know state associations are also working on state specifically, but we all have tough jobs and we all work very, very hard to be successful. But I think the more that we get involved in the overall profession and the industry, the better we all will be. Is we share our talents with each other. Yeah, we're competitors, but we're also in this together. So the sustainable initiative should be something that we all are focused on.
No, well said. Well said. Bob, really appreciate your time today again. I know you're a busy guy, but really appreciate your time. Look forward to seeing you in Orlando in a few weeks. Looking
Great.
forward to catching up. So thank you again, Bob.
You're very welcome.
Hopefully that was pure dead brilliant for you today, and you got some great takeaways for your business or for your personal life. This is Robert Clinkenbeard along with David Edmondson. I would love to get you and your friends to join us on your journey. If you have any ideas for future speakers, or if you just want to pass this on to friends, family, other business colleagues to sign up and subscribe, that would be awesome. Anyway, thanks everyone, and have a great 2022. Cheers.